Yeah, so I think it's been right around a month. I've only made a couple really minor changes to the campaigns, and I'll share my screen here and show you the quick agenda. And then we'll just jump right in. All right, so in the last episode, we built our first campaigns and just walked through how to build campaigns, how to think about landing pages and things like that. And so it's been a month, and now I want to go back into the Google Ads account and see how the last winter shelter campaign did. So we'll review that campaign. We'll see what we can do to optimize it quickly by maybe adding some more keywords. We'll see if our ad strength is still excellent. If not, we'll make some updates. I have 10 steps here for troubleshooting a campaign. So if we have a campaign that is at 0 impressions after a couple weeks or after a couple months, or if we have a campaign that's producing and then drops off and drops to 0, here are 10 steps that I've used to really just sort of make sure everything is in working order. By the end of these 10, that campaign I was working on did actually improve. And I think these are sort of in no particular order. Some campaigns you may need to, focus on a couple of these, whereas others you may just want to go through all 10. There aren't too many resources for the Google Ads grant. There is a Google forum, which is just a Google for nonprofits help. I did a search for if your account isn't working, and none of these seem to be too helpful. One of these responses basically said Google's tech had a checklist and just asked basic questions. And so I think my troubleshooting checklist is probably similar to what Google has, although there's maybe more in depth. And I did notice this notification here that Google for Nonprofits is introducing a new workspace and ad grant features. So I clicked through, and Google Ads are now eligible to run on Google Maps. So if you have a local business, you can essentially now have your ads appear on Maps.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
And it looks like that's done through their Performance Max campaign. So if you have a Performance Max campaign running, it will now automatically, most likely, start showing on Google Maps.
Which we didn't do this last time, right?
We did not. If
Okay.
there's time, we could make one of those today. They use basically just different assets, so more imagery and videos. And then you actually have a lot less control. You basically give Google control to show ads in whatever format you load on whatever channel that they have available. So this could be on Gmail, the ads at the top of your Gmail inbox. This could be on Nextdoor. I've seen ads showing up on the Nextdoor app. So you just load the creative and let Google do its thing. Once you have campaigns running and you've sort of started building out your account and things are working well, keep building more landing pages for your website, building more campaigns. You're generally restricted by the campaigns that you can create have to go to a good quality landing page. So if you don't have good pages on your website, start by building and creating content for your website. You can then use the Google grant to support that. And then maintaining your account, there's updates that happen often every couple months, every couple years. There's a major change, and so maintaining your account. We were speaking earlier, and if you were to basically pause all of your campaigns and just walk away, probably in 3 to 6 months, Google would deactivate your account. You'd probably get notifications and things like that. So just every couple months, even if you're not actively managing it, just pop in.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started. So here's the ad grant account we're working in. This is the homepage you probably will end up on when you just log in. I don't actually spend too much time on this, but it does a decent job of the overview. So you can see your optimization score. Anything over 90 is pretty good. Between 80 and 90, there are usually a few suggestions that are pretty easy to comply with that will get you to 90. So if you're in that 85 range, maybe look at accepting a few of those optimization requests. We can see which campaigns are producing. So two seem to be having some traction, and then two are not.
Talk for a moment about what you see at the top of this screen and what that says to you.
This
The
one,
summary there.
the summary I don't really read too much into. Honestly, I just sort of
Hmm.
move over it because I prefer just looking at the data. The summaries I often find are inaccurate or don't have the nuance that we would want.
Oh.
Inaccurate meaning if you have conversion tracking set up, which we talked a little bit about last time, it may say your conversions are up significantly. But if the conversion isn't actually someone donating or someone scheduling an appointment, conversions being up may not be relevant. They may also say conversions are down, and same thing if it's just not being
Hmm.
tracked
Is the
correctly.
cost per click something that's important? This average cost per click?
Not as much on a Google Grant account because it's free.
Ah, got it.
Yeah. Normally I would. If I was paying 467, I would want to try and drive that down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just find the total number of clicks across 3 campaigns increased by 17. Is that good? Bad?
Okay.
Of the 3 campaigns, one contributed 12. So one campaign went up 12. So that means 5 on the other campaign. That doesn't sound so. As a quick glance, here we go. Conversions for this increased by 109. It's counting page views as a conversion. So maybe 109 people went to the page, but that's not really a conversion. So yeah, I don't find too much helpful there. It's usually this graph that I look at and then the next campaign screen. But there are a couple things here I found interesting. Computers. So mobile phones versus computers. Oftentimes it's heavy on mobile. There's a lot more impressions on mobile. In this case, it's we're seeing more on the computer side. Time of day, people are seeing these ads in the evening. And then demographics, older demographic skews towards female. So older demographic in the evenings on computers. That's
Mm.
sort of the demographic of how people are interacting with the ads and the type of content they're looking for. They're looking for cat rescue, TNR support in the evenings, just on a computer in some cases. So this is the screen that I generally will call the home page. You have your date range at the top. Last 30 days is usually a pretty good one. If you're trying to make bigger decisions, you can go all time, and that way you can see over a longer period of time, you can see seasonality and things like that. So the campaign we built last time was winter shelters. And I think the only adjustment I made was when we launched this campaign, we just had it in Chicago, targeting Illinois, and I just opened it up to USA as a whole. So it was just a location broadening. Didn't really make sense to only provide helpful resources to people in Chicago when
Yep.
it applies everywhere. 13 clicks, not a lot. $24 spent, also not a lot. This is more of the type of production I'd like to see on a small campaign like this. $300 spent in the last month. So the TNR workshop campaign is producing well, 1,300 impressions. Click-through rate is also another metric, 5% or higher, I believe is what Google's minimum suggested is. So if your account, and I think each campaign, if it's not above 5%, then at some point Google could try and penalize you or
Okay.
pause
So
that
we need,
campaign.
so that needs to be work to get that over 5% then.
Yeah. And some of that could just be the keywords you're targeting. Some of it's the ads that you write, the ad assets, site links, and things like that. So some production, not as much as we'd like to see. I also like to keep an eye on notifications here. Some of these a little bit more in depth. Customer match is really more about the audiences. This would be something like retargeting or remarketing, where they go to your website, And now we start showing them ads, or they go to the website and now they're added to an audience list, and we can
Hmm.
market to that audience list separately. Loading a logo, I just don't have the right format. Otherwise, I would do that one right now. Conversion tracking is always a good one. That's a little bit more in depth. Protect your account from activity. This is usually an easy one. Um, verify email, verify domains allowed. So right now we have 2 users on this account. One is using animalcausemarketing.com. The other's catsinaction.com. So I'm just going to hit save, that those are allowed domains,
Mhm.
and that notification will probably go away shortly. So add descriptions to site links. Let's take a look at this one. So these are the ad assets that you can add. You do your 15 headlines, your 4 descriptions, add your images, and then there are other ones here for site links and things like that that you can in call outs.
And site links are just additional things that they add, right? Additional links to your site that may not be to the landing page that you've chosen.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So this one is going to our programs, and it just wants descriptions. So we already have the site links. It just is suggesting that we optimize them by build them out a little bit more. How we cats and so I'm just filling out the details. Help with cats. Stay in cats and so then you can see the optimization score goes up a little bit. That one was, I think, only valued at 0.1. But you can see if
Mm-hmm.
we add conversions, that would basically get us to 100%. So this campaign is optimized to 93%. If we can add conversion tracking, then we can get to 100%.
Is that something you want to do?
Yeah, it is. So there's the the real trick to the challenge with conversion tracking. It used to be fairly simple. When someone takes an action on your page, they would redirect to a thank you page or a confirmation page. So they submit a form, they end up on a page, and you could put code on that page that would tell Google that's a conversion. Google can no longer share user data back and forth. So they can no longer say that's a conversion and share the data. So we can still put the pixel on the page, but in order to enable that data sharing, you basically have to enable a data layer on the back end of, I think, either the website or the CRM that you're connecting to. Basically, there's this whole other technical step that even some of my team is having difficulty with.
Wow.
So
So,
that would be conversion tracking, enhanced conversion tracking.
and that allows Google to utilize that data?
Yep.
I see. Okay. So things like scrolling 3/4 of the way down the page doesn't qualify for conversion, only if you have them click into a specific thank you page.
So here's you can set different conversions. Phone calls would be one, for example, booking an appointment.
Hmm.
So there are different page views. You can set up different ways to track a conversion.
Uh-huh.
However, if it's not really accurate, so this one I think is just showing probably page views. When someone goes to this page, which I labeled as a conversion, when the page loads, Google thinks this is a conversion.
That sounded
Yep,
beneficial to me and if it counted
page load.
because somebody you don't have to create such a complex behavior,
Agreed.
but
Um,
I hadn't realized it meant more data sharing with Google.
it's more data sharing. It's also not, unless it's really set up to track what you want as a conversion, something like a page load, I see just as irrelevant data. If Google's optimizing for a page load or for a user hitting that page, it's not really finding the right user in the right time of the user funnel and things like that. It's basically just saying we're sending people there. It's a conversion, so we'll keep sending more people there.
I guess I must admit I had seen it as maybe if you were struggling to reach their 5%, then
To get
that
to
you
the
something you might use
100%, you
because it's
mean?
easier to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. So inherently, though, I don't know that you will get a lot more benefit out of 100% versus 93%
Mm,
if you're tracking conversions like this 114. In some cases, I think telling Google the wrong thing could do more harm uh, just for relevancy for any, and among many other reasons. But if Google is sending the wrong people there and it thinks it's sending conversions, which I've seen before,
I see. Good
then
point.
you have to retrain Google that you don't actually want those people. So I did set up conversion tracking here. It doesn't seem like it's working properly because we have a lot of conversions. We also don't have the 100% score. So this is just generally why I think conversion tracking it's
Yeah.
you can start with maximize clicks and get general campaigns started and have some success. When you're really ready to take it to the next level, which would be like performance max and maximize conversions, then you do need to spend a little bit more time on the conversion tracking.
Okay.
And maybe it's just for me, it's difficult. Um, it's not as easy as copying and pasting in the code, I've found.
Uh-huh.
There may be some cases where, they sign up on the form, they go to a thank you page, that page loads, and that's the conversion that you want. But
Yeah. That seems very relevant when you want it to happen.
yeah. So here's the cat shelters, winter cat shelters campaign. I usually just click in and take a look at keywords, and this main page, um, we can get to the ads and things like that pretty easily. So in the last 30 days, we've had 290 impressions. We can see which ones are sending impressions. We can also customize this too. You can click columns if you want to remove some of these things that are empty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So really only one has been producing a lot of clicks and the bulk of impressions, but cat shelters, outdoor cat shelters, this is essentially what we want. And then there's a few that are, whenever it says limited, low quality score basically means it's not as relevant to the page, ad relevance.
Oh,
So it
huh.
doesn't like the landing page experience. Outdoor cat shelter for winter. I
That
don't
seems very relevant.
Yeah, because it's a winter cat shelter. So
Right, right. Huh.
maybe it's that keyword specifically. We don't say in that format outdoor cat
Mhm.
shelter for winter because it's just a weird way of
But
saying
up above, that was the highest performer.
outdoor cat house, outdoor cat
Oh,
shelter.
shelter, house. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I'm just gonna leave those there now because quality score and landing page basically means we have to fix the landing page or update the landing page. If we had a lot of these, which is fairly uncommon, you could group them and turn it into an ad group or make a new campaign just with those with a different landing page.
Ah, okay.
So I look at the keywords. We have 17, about half, or the top 5 are producing and the other ones aren't. At some point, maybe in a month or two, I would pause these. If they still haven't gotten any searches, I would pause them just because there's no reason to have them if they're not doing anything.
Mhm. And pausing it helps you see what you've tried in the past as
Yes.
opposed to deleting them. Yeah.
Yeah, and pausing, you can reactivate keywords. So this would be a scenario where you could pause it and then re-enable it later.
Hmm.
If you remove it, then you just have to add it again, but it would technically be a different keyword if you
Yep.
remove it. So these are the keywords that we've selected. Before I look at adding more keywords, which is kind of the next step, evaluating keywords, I like to go to the insights report and look at search terms. This
Hmm.
shows what people on Google are actually typing in. So they are typing in feral cat shelter. This is an exact match with something that's already in the campaign. Here's a feral cat DIY, cat shelter DIY. It's not in the campaign and it's finding us through broad match. So pretty relevant. We could add it if we're getting a lot of these and it's not in the campaign. Then we may want to add it to the campaign because that's what people are searching for.
But does it say only 2 people searched for that?
Yes, 2
Okay.
impressions.
Okay.
So let's sort, I was sorted by clicks. Let's sort by impressions now. So the
Oh,
broad term cats. um, yeah, I don't really like adding super broad terms like the word cats. It's too irrelevant. But outdoor cat house that's a good one, although we'll see if we get a quality score. Weatherproof outdoor cat shelter.
so by clicking those, it's to add as a keyword. Got it.
Yeah, you can add it as a negative keyword or as a keyword. A negative keyword would be what you don't want to show up for. So if we were getting a lot of catio search terms, this is outdoor cat shelter, not a catio, but I could see how a computer might think those are the same.
You
Um,
bet.
we could
Absolutely.
we could hit catio. In fact, let's just do it because an outdoor cat shelter is not a catio. So this will make it so if somebody types in catio, our ads won't show up anymore. And we could put that on the ad group or the campaign. And this would be one of those things on the troubleshooting where if you have too many negative keywords, your campaigns may not show because you've blocked all of the terms that could trigger your ads.
Right, right.
So let's go back to the keywords, which are here. And let's see if we can just add any that make sense. I usually just take a look at, I look at what people are searching and add any that are relevant there, and then just see what Google's recommending here. And heated cat house. Sometimes I think just adding a couple keywords here and there shows Google that you're making active changes.
Mm-hmm.
Cat shelter, that's probably too broad. That could be a rescue. That could be a humane society.
Absolutely.
Cat houses for outside, insulated cat house, heated cat house. Let's just add a couple there.
Yeah, people seem to be using house rather than
Yeah.
enclosure. So,
So I would maybe remove a few. 23 is getting on the high side, and a lot of those haven't really been used yet. But let's pop over to, or a lot of those ads haven't been triggered yet. Let's pop over to the ad section and just see what it looks like. Still have an excellent ad score, but since I just made some changes to the keywords, it's possible that it will recalculate based on the new keywords I added. I haven't found too much on this chat on the right to be very helpful. Looks like it wants me to update some site links again. So sometimes you get notifications up here in the URL, destination not found and things like that. I've generally found that stuff to be fairly inaccurate because here's the page and it's saying there's an issue with the
yeah.
um, SSL of the page, but
So you just leave it if
it
it seems
looks
to be working.
secure. So yeah, I generally and when you make an update to the ad, it'll I think rescans everything. So since we are
Mm.
going to save a new ad and probably change a headline or two, it should recalculate that error. Let's add, if you try and change some of these, sometimes it'll tell you it's a high performing
Oh,
term. Looks
uh-huh.
like we don't have enough data for that, but sometimes it'll say like low performing keyword.
Yeah.
Let's do this one. Outdoor house. So just added one, probably a little bit more um, outdoor relevant to the one some of the keywords we just added. Um, we spent a good time on these last time, so I think the descriptions, since we still have an excellent ad score, there's really no reason to make too
Yeah.
many changes. We
Okay.
could add a few images. We can add our logo. We could add, looks like 2 more site links. Sometimes though, I like to keep it to 4. If they have too many, then they start showing, other pages that you want them to click on the main ad and go to that page, not, the 6 other pages that they want.
Right. Yeah.
We don't necessarily want phone calls for some of these topics, so we're not going to load a phone number. Call outs, same thing as site links, they just don't have the links. So we made one
Mm.
change. I'm going to hit save. Because this campaign it's performing. What I would do to continue to optimize this campaign would be try and go more broad. So I would add more. I would spend some time refining the keywords to try and get the right, 20 keywords that all get impressions. I looked at location already. I'll go there so you can see what that looks like. Um, because we did get the low quality score on the landing page, I would also probably spend 20 or 30 minutes improving the landing page or getting some of those keywords in there, like outdoor cat house.
Hmm.
Now that we have some data coming in, we can see, what are people searching and are those keywords actually on the page? And then I'd make some updates to the page.
Hmm.
On the home screen here, this invisible icon, I think Google has some work to do on their user interface.
Hmm.
It's
What does that mean?
it's hard to get back to this main screen. You have to go here. Sometimes you have to
Mm.
click here and select all campaigns.
Right.
You have settings and menus that are invisible until you hover over them. Like unless you knew this was campaign settings, you wouldn't be able to get there.
Right.
And this controls a lot within the campaign. So it's sort of a main feature and it's invisible,
I'm amazed that you got the impressions you did for winter shelters, given this is being recorded and tested in July.
right? And there's
I'm,
definitely seasonality. So I bet in about 2 months, impressions
yeah,
can go up quite a
hard
bit,
to judge it right now.
right?
Um,
So you can change things here. You can change your daily budget, your bid strategy. Changing your bid strategy, there's a couple things that will drastically change the results of the campaign. So I'll pull up that troubleshooting checklist here in a moment. But if you have it set on conversions and it's not working, if you change it to clicks, you may see a drastic change. It may start working all of a sudden.
huh,
Vice
okay.
versa too. If it's not working on clicks, try conversions. Then you can also set a target maximum. This is another big thing. Usually it will want to learn and recommend a budget.
Hmm.
So change it to conversions, let it run for 2 months, and then it'll give you a recommended. Locations, this is one way to really go broad. If you're just targeting a city or a state and you're not getting traction, go much broader. Add surrounding states, I think is a good rule of thumb. If you have local services or if you're promoting general awareness things, go your city, your state, and then surrounding states. And that gives you a
Okay.
pretty good reach. People move around. They could be living on the border and they're, traveling for work. And so
Sure.
I just figured it's a good way to go to get a little bit better reach.
So if you live in Chicago but you're in New York on business, does Google know you as a Chicago user because of where you're based, or does it count you as a New York
It's
person?
probably a combination of both, because past search results are pretty strong. So if you're often searching for Chicago Cat Rescue or Chicago services and you search for services, it may show you Chicago results, but it's probably also going to show you location based with the map. So the Google
Mm-hmm.
map would probably be your local nearby services, and then your um, some of your other listings may be based on your past preferences.
Hmm. Okay.
So
So,
that was optimizing a campaign. Again, you basically just go back over all of the things that you made, look at if things are working, maybe add more, maybe remove some that have notifications.
So let me ask a question, Justin. If if I'm your client for this organization and I say, I thought we could get $10,000 in ad value per month, and we're not getting nearly that in a month. So how do I get $10,000 worth of ad value?
Some groups can. Some groups, larger humane societies, they can spend over 10, they can spend 10,000. And a couple years ago in December, Google uh, lifted that 10,000 to 40,000 or increased it to 40,000 for December. And I
Whoa.
saw all of these accounts spending 40,000 and yeah, they just opened it up. They didn't seem to notify anybody. They just let them go over the limit. The average is probably 600 or 700 a month, up to about 1,500 a month. On average, most groups could spend about 1,500 with 3 or 4 pretty strong, broad campaigns.
Mhm. And
In
it wouldn't
order,
differ if you put the maximum, budget per day or something like that. It's just that's all it can kind of cough up.
yep,
I don't
yep,
want to, it's free, so I don't want to
it's free.
criticize
So
it, but
Google shows the paid listings first. Google
mhm.
takes their cut, and then remaining inventory they divvy up to the Google grant, essentially.
Mhm.
So, yeah, really competitive terms may have a lot of search volume, which is generally what you want. It's like kitten season, anything around kittens is going to have a lot of search volume. So, campaigns around kittens are more likely to show because so many people are searching, even though there's a lot of paid stuff in there too.
Right.
So you do have access to 10,000 a month. I have in my career of managing grants for 9 years, had several accounts and campaigns do 10,000 a month. I haven't seen anyone that stayed 10,000 for too long. It dips. You'll drop down
Hmm.
to 8,000. There seems to be a 20% swing potentially any month. Um, yeah, and the biggest restricting factor I think is your website. Do you have topics on your website? Are they full enough? Do you have enough topical authority to have a good, strong landing page and a good optimization, a good quality score for your landing page?
Hmm.
Smaller websites don't have as many pages, limited in campaigns. So here are some troubleshooting tips. We sort of went through some of these already, so some of these we may be able to skip through, but let's say you have a campaign that is at 0. So like this one here, vehicle donations. It's a new campaign we built. I built it maybe 2 months ago. So it's had plenty of time to produce and it's just not. I happen to know this space and it's fairly challenging. It's tied to the automotive industry, people buying and selling, uh, buying new cars, selling used cars, things like that. There's a lot of search volume, but I think because it's so competitive on the paid side that there's a lot less inventory available with the Google grant. So in this case, I would start by looking at the keywords. Do we have the right set of keywords? Are they broad enough? Do we have too many? Do we not have enough? There's 24 in here. I took a
Hmm.
look at these other day and cat donation. Typo.
But
I'd
it's
like a cat
performing. No,
donation.
it's good.
So this set of keywords should be good enough for these to show. Donate my car gets searched a lot. Boat donation, same thing. That's a good one. Do we have an excellent ad score? Maybe the problem is the ad strength isn't very good enough, and here it's not excellent. So this is one area that we can improve. Sometimes they'll tell you up here what you need to improve. It's usually more popular keywords or your descriptions. In this case, it's here's the indicator. If you click on more ideas, it'll tell you what it wants you to use. So this is Google suggesting things to you, but
Okay.
because the campaign's not working, I would start with all of what Google recommends. Once campaigns are working, then get more creative, get more branded, test different calls to action. But
So are
um,
you just the ones you checked there, you're adding?
I would add, yep, I'm not going to do
Okay.
that right now because I want to go through the checklist, but I
Okay.
would look for some of these that maybe I think just aren't converting very well. Well, nothing is showing, so there are no conversions. So we're trying
Yeah.
to get something to get some traction. So I would go for an excellent ad score here. You can add more images. There's only 8, so I would add more images. Maybe add some more site links on this one. Again, we're trying to just do a little bit more. Google's
Hmm.
not liking what we have so far, so let's do more. So do all the things. Um, Negative keywords. This would also be another one to take a look at. I don't think we have any running, but we can get to. So here's another example of navigation being tricky. You got to go to keywords
Uh-huh.
and then the second tab up here, negative keywords.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And we don't have any running, so that's not why this campaign isn't working. It's not being blocked by keywords.
Hmm.
Next item is adjust locations, adjust bid strategy, adjust the bid. So let's go back to the home and get back there. This is where we go to the campaign settings and we'll look at locations. Is it too restrictive? Is it too broad? In this case, we have the city and the state plus the country, which I've seen work just fine. So it's going to try and prefer Chicago, then Illinois, then it should show ads
Okay.
uh, across the US. We can add bid strategy. That would be maximize clicks. Maximize clicks should be is a good default starting point because you don't need to rely on conversion tracking and things like that. So
Hmm.
maximize clicks should work here. We can maybe set a max cost per click bid. Leaving it open essentially lets Google pick it as well. So we don't need to set one because Google can
Just limit it.
do whatever they want. Um, your campaign budget could be another one. In this case, it's not an issue if your campaign isn't showing, then budget's probably not an issue unless all of your other campaigns are eating up the budget. So if
Right, which they're not, right?
they're not, so that's
Yeah.
not it. Reviewing audience and demographics and then optimization requests. So I think we talked a little bit last time about the audiences. Generally, audiences I would find to be more restrictive than broadening. If you put an age range, people 18 to 24-year-olds tend to not have extra vehicles to donate.
Good point.
They're not fed up with the hassles of selling it privately or anything like that. They're happy to do test drives, have people come over on Craigslist. Um, so yeah, 18 to 24-year-olds are not donating cars. So I'm going to just add that one, which is going in the wrong direction. We generally would want to broaden these.
Right.
Audience segments, again, this would be maybe because this is automotive, we're looking for people who are making a vehicle transaction, buying a car, selling a car.
Oh, that's a thought. Okay.
We want them to consider donating a car during that transaction thought process. So since we didn't have any audiences, let's add some.
Yeah, that
These are
makes sense.
Google-based audiences. So if Google thinks they're in the, buy a used car audience, they've probably been recently searching used car prices and things like that.
Would you put like the cat lovers audience on this or any of the other campaigns, or just better to leave it off?
Generally, I
It
would
just does it
say
just limit it to just those people?
it could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cat lovers, I don't know exactly what goes in how you become a cat lover. So if you see a cat in your backyard and you Google for the first time ever, I found a stray cat, are you going to be a cat lover and would you see an ad?
Yeah.
Maybe not. So because in this case we're providing resources to people in the community who have cat problems, they may not be cat lovers, they may
Right.
not be cat owners. Um, Now,
So
once
this
ads are showing
restricts to this
low,
audience, not necessarily just doubles down on the audience.
Yeah, and I would have to confirm because I have seen settings in the past, and with how many changes Google makes, I'm not certain that these are layered or not. So it is possible that if I added cat lovers, they would have to be a cat lover and be searching for auto loans in order to see this ad.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
It may not be like that. It may be one or the other. So if they're a cat lover, then they see the ad, or if they have
Or,
searched for auto loans, then they might see it. But um, because we are trying to get a campaign to show that's not producing, I'd be more cautious on things that could
oh,
reduce
and
the audience.
it looks like the selections above that targeting versus observation maybe are those two different ways. One is narrowing the reach, the other
There you
one
go.
is just um, don't narrow the campaign at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, but you could maybe adjust your bid, like add more money to the selected segments if, I don't know.
Yeah, you do have the Google Grant does limit some of your functionality. The
Oh, I see. Because it's not a Google that, yeah,
Yep, they
for
basically, yeah,
nonprofits.
you just don't have nearly as many customization options, um, like audience bid adjustments. Sometimes you do. In
Hmm,
some
okay.
cases, you can pick time of day and things like that. So if we want to bid more for phone calls, or if we want to bid more for different devices, um,
Huh.
normally it would show something like that here, where this would be mobile device or desktop, and then we could actually bid 20% more for mobile or 20%
Interesting.
less for mobile, trying to get more people on desktop.
Huh.
But it doesn't look like this is fully built out. Yeah, so those were my 10 optimization steps, basically
Mm-hmm.
just going through the main components of a campaign, looking at a couple of these could have a big impact. If it's not working, consider changing the bid type or the campaign strategy. Last item here, maintaining your account. Notifications and optimization are really the best ways to do that. So we started by looking at the notifications and going through some of these. This doesn't update super often, so we already did this one and it's still showing a notification. So I'm just going to manually close that one. Within about 30 to 60 days of opening a new Google grant, they will ask you to do this to verify the advertiser information.
Mm-hmm.
And this can either be you as the agency working on behalf of the nonprofit, or you can just fill it out on behalf of the nonprofit. And it was actually very quick. It was like 3 or 4 minutes, and it was very basic contact information.
Yep.
So that was faster than I thought it was. Add a
Yeah, we
business
went through that
logo.
too.
Conversion tracking, again, it's just it can be tricky. Setting it up may not be the hard part, but getting it to track what you actually want it to track may be more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And then optimization scores, you can basically just try and get 100%, at least aim for over 90%. Conversions would be the biggest one. We already made a couple updates to site links, but you can see that Google's basically telling you to do the same things as in notifications. They want a business logo, they want
Yeah.
things like that.
Are there any landing page updates or optimizations you made for this nonprofit? And did you do that to the page that everybody sees, or did you make any custom private landing page that had some of that added to it?
Good question. In this case, I did not make any changes because here are some things that I would change. If there's no H1 tag, which is your main header, your H1, a page should have only one H1, and it should ideally be your main keyword. So
Mm,
winter shelters and supplies, winter shelters, supplies. I would maybe optimize this with winter cat shelters,
yeah.
or maybe, and then maybe the H2, I would maybe do, this is a top 10 list, but I would maybe try and get DIY. cat shelter, and a header. So
Mm-hmm.
some very easy things to do to optimize would be look at your H1s and your H2s, make sure that those topics are core keywords in your ad campaign. Make sure there's enough substance. In this case, there's plenty of words. 500 to 1,000 words on the page is good enough substance for Google to know what that page is about. So this, I would maybe go DIY cat shelter or even DIY cat house. If
Yeah.
that's what people were searching, outdoor DIY cat house, I would look at what those most common searches are and update it for that specifically. These look like products for the outdoor cat house. So I would maybe add another H2 down here.
Mm-hmm.
Give that to add something else, insulated, warming cat houses, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and let's say this was written by an author who's like, this article's perfect, you can change nothing. And you're saying, well, we're getting a low optimization score, so we got to change something. And they say no. So you could duplicate this. You can basically leave this as like a no index, no follow page. So Google can't find this page. So you could turn this into a landing page just for your ads and then make these changes. So I don't know how your author would feel about a second page being out there with different keywords,
And
but
and the second page would be the one though that people who clicked on the ad would see,
yeah.
right?
And you could set
Yeah.
it so you can't find it on your page, on your website. It's not on Google. The only way to get there would be through the ad.
Okay.
So yeah, just another technique you can use. And maybe that's a way that you could potentially A/B test campaigns. So
Oh,
you could
that's a
have
good
one
point.
campaign,
Yeah.
you could have two ad groups. Each ad group links to a different ad, and that ad goes to a different version of the landing page.
To see if those revisions made a difference. That's a
Yep.
good point. Yeah.
And yeah, maintaining account, build landing pages, build more campaigns, keep going back over. Um, you once you get everything dialed in and you're pretty happy with the results, and you're always going to have probably an 80/20 where 20% of your campaigns are producing 80% of the results. You're
Hmm.
probably always going to have a couple. If you're pushing the boundaries, you're always going to have a couple that aren't performing very well, um, which is okay. You're once you get sort of things set up, I would say, a couple hours a month, maybe pick a week every month and spend a little bit of time just going through optimizing campaigns, adding some keywords, changing out some imagery. Once it's dialed in, it's fairly easy to maintain until Google makes a change, and then you see drastic changes, then you got to go figure it out. But
Right.
to get
And
started, a couple hours to build your first handful of campaigns, and then a couple hours a month. If it's performing well, it's definitely worth the time. If you're a smaller nonprofit and you have a new website and your first 3 or 4 campaigns don't do very much, it may not be worth the time and effort to get a couple campaigns that send you 15 visitors a month.
right. Yeah.
So it's worth the initial investment to see if it'll work for you. If it's really just not working, I would probably abandon it. And then on the other side, some accounts start working very, very quickly and work really well, and it's absolutely worth it to keep spending more time, to keep trying to refine and narrow your audience to get more relevant users. Once it's working, there's a whole nother kind of strategy for really the advanced optimization to make sure you're getting the right users.
I bet. It seems like until you get underway with this, some of the opportunities don't present themselves because
Right?
you don't have the chance to refine since you're still at the basics.
Yep. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first challenge is going to be getting one impression. And then once you have one impression, because there seems to be a difference. Some campaigns won't ever get that first impression. And then you're like, why isn't it working? And then 16 impressions is the next step. And then so you can basically see with these 4 campaigns, you will have similar results where 1 or 2 will perform okay, and then the other 2 won't. And
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's just not always what you expect would be the ones to perform.
right?
Hmm. Thank you so
But
much. This
I
was
bet
really helpful.
if we
Yeah,
did dive into and tried to reverse engineer why these were successful, it's probably broad keywords. So there's a good search volume, maybe broad enough location, and then good landing pages.
got it. And yet, if you go too broad with a keyword like cat,
Yeah.
is that possibly just not bringing you relevant enough
Yeah, I think what
people?
you would see is probably a low click-through rate. So
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about feral cats, and they just searched cat. They're talking about, their pet, and there's
Right.
a lot more pet searches than feral cat searches. So they're probably seeing the ad, so that's an impression, not clicking on it, and then your click-through rate goes down.
Yeah.
Very broad, irrelevant terms won't produce very much for you, even on the engagement side.
Right. Right. Good. Thank you. I think these true webinars have been really helpful, and I hope people all over find this helpful through YouTube.
Yeah. Thanks. Until next time.
Bye bye.